let's talk about the oil pan. So, just to help you out, this is a 2006 Nissan Frontier. Okay, not an Altima, not a 2.5 Altima. They are completely different. Don't think they are just because they share the same number. Okay. In order to get the oil pan off, if you're doing the motor inside of the vehicle, you can just put a couple of bolts in here. Put a really nice heavy duty something right here, rod, whatever, not a pipe. Gotta have something solid steel. You can rest it right up there, or unless you got the tool that goes across and all fancy and all that, but I ain't got all that. I can't afford that. So I put this rod on here. Make sure you put a little something on the end here so you don't walk into the darn thing. Make sure you're not touching the radiator. Don't want to damage it. Make sure you got enough lip up there. Nothing's being bent up there, so we're all good there. The reason you have to do this is because the oil pan, when it is down on the mounts, will not clear the rack and pinion. Again, I repeat, it will not clear the rack and pinion. So, and there's also another cross member, a real small one, probably, oh, I don't know, probably about 1.5 inches wide, and it goes all the way across, bolts in, got 4 bolts. You have to take that out as well. It's right under the oil pan. See if I can, so now you can see that we're exposed down there. I have the oil pan over my cleaner. You know, I'm cleaning and prepping it. So, just a little tip. Now I have this exhaust manifold off. Did I have to take it off in order to do all of this? No. You can leave it on there. You can work around it a little bit to get to the 2 bolts. There's one here, and then there's one on the other side. But the manifold is not in the way. You can just leave that off to the side. It's not a big deal. I chose to take it off because I did have a catalytic converter fail on the primary catalytic converter. So when I took it off and exposed it, sure enough, it was probably 3/4 plugged. So again, going back to the oil pan, in order to do this, you have to raise this up or have it on an engine stand. I wasn't doing that. To me, that just seemed a whole lot more work than it was worth. So anyway, again, 2006 Nissan Frontier. Now, this may apply to other years. I don't know. There's a lot of confusion on the internet of what works and doesn't work and all that. All I'm telling you is for this truck, 2006 Nissan Frontier 2.5, this is what we're doing. Hey, if you got any tips, throw it my way. If you want to go over to the house and help, come on. But I'm still waiting for the head. Yeah, that's another story all by itself. We will talk about that later. So I hope that tip helps you guys. All right, back on to work. All right, let's give that a shot. See if I can get this bad boy open. Let's see if I'm in focus. Looks like I am. More or less. Ish. There. Alright. We're going to take this, open it up, and let's see what the machine shop has done. So far, I like what I see. Everything's nice and clean and all that kind of stuff. So, looks really good that way. Basically, he said that the lobes on the cams, he was very shocked, according to him, very shocked that they were all still within spec for the mileage of the motor. I said, wow, okay. So we did not do cams. No cams. It looks nice. Nice and clean. Everything looks real nice and clean. Looks like they maybe bead blasted it or some type of whatever. So let's flip her on her side. See what it looks like. Oh, that looks real nice. I like it. And it looks almost like a brand new head, I guess. Slash reman. Oh wow, nice, very nice. Okay, I was not expecting that. Very nice. Wow. Let's see if we can bring this down here. All new valves. He did a complete valve job. Nice. Super nice. He said he was going to see if he could salvage any, try to help me out money-wise. But just to let you know, they still did a really good job as far as the money-wise, because here's why. I have a lot of trust in my machine shop because, well, over the years I have brought a lot of work to them through my work, and now this is something that's personal for me because it's my own personal vehicle. So they know I'm not just some kind of fly-by-night, more or less. Anyway, yeah, $910. I know that seems like a lot. I know it does. But I could not find another head for less than $1,400 off of eBay. And then I was finding them used on eBay with who knows what the real mileage was for over $700. So when he told me that it was going to be $900 to redo it all except for the cams, I was like, well, okay, I guess we'll go with it. So with that, he had said up to $1,200. What can I do? I can't find another one. And you know what? Here's a crazy deal. This is absolutely crazy. All of them in the wrecking yards, you know they've got 170,000 plus on them. So they're going to be just as beat up as this one was. So why not? Why not just have them reman it, rebuild it? He said my cams were still in spec. I'm good with it. I think he did a really good job. I appreciate it. Anyway, it's kind of thundering outside. You might hear that in the audio. Maybe you might hear it. Got a little thunder dober going on. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're just going to lay this down for now. There we go. Yeah, it looks nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. So, I guess we'll go on to the next step. So what we got going on here, let me see if we can pop this bad boy out. So what we got going on now is the oil pan. I know, it's painted. Ain't no one ever gonna see it. I know. But you know what? I'm gonna know. I will know. So I will give more instruction on this, on how that's gonna go in. Here it is. Here's all the parts. Yeah. All the parts. Now we can go back together because we got the head. I got it up in the air. That's to get the oil pan off. You have to do this in order to get the oil pan. It's either do this or pull the motor out. Yeah, not pulling the motor out. So anyway, we did this. So anyway, all right, we're gonna go on the next step here. When I do the oil pan, I'll restart this. Okay, so here's what I got. When I pulled the head off, pulled off the thermostat and all that kind of stuff, took off the oil pan. You should see the previous video of this. Dropped the oil pan, put all the new gears on, the new tensioner spring, and all that. So now I'm getting ready to put the head on. And I just want to make a couple notes right before doing that. So as I took this apart, you know, you have to be very careful because you have nuts and bolts, washers, dirt, debris, garbage. You're going to have it all. And sometimes you just don't get it all. So you have to protect yourself. So I did have a couple of rags down inside of here. I took them out already. Now what I did here was I put some paper towels. I guess these are like a coolant galley that goes around the cylinders. And I did that to help protect anything from going, especially when you're going to put a new head or a rebuild head or a new head gasket. You know, you got to clean all this up. So when you do that, you just have to watch out for all the debris that you don't want to get in here. And you kind of inspect, look around. Don't see nothing out of the ordinary. Try to use a clean rag. Try to clean everything up. Especially clean for the head gasket. Make sure there's no debris on there. If you got anything debris-wise, you might want to clean it. Now, what I'm going to do, oh, looks pretty good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put these are head guides. Also, they're good for using head gasket. Hold it in place. Little love taps, nothing too exciting. There's only 2 of them. You don't have to get crazy with the hammer. Alright, so I'm back. So, when I took everything apart, I covered everything up, I cleaned off the block, cleaned off the pistons, made everything look nice. Now, before going back together, as you can see, I've got the head gasket here. Not the most important thing, believe it or not. This will be most important. You must remove everything out of each of your bolt holes. And here is an example. There's oil in there. Now, I know what you're saying. You've done your research. You've done what you're supposed to do. And you're supposed to put oil on the bolts when you go put them in. Because these do not go through. Okay? Whoop. Now, they don't go through. There's no hole. There's no nothing in here. So here's the deal. You have to put oil on the bolts. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I doing this way? Why don't I just get some air, Rich, and just blow it down inside, or you'll blow that shit right out of there? Right. You're right. It would blow right out of there. How about looking at it this way? If you go and do that, and I put my little air gun, hold on, not what I'm going to do it, but I'll show you an example. What if I go stick this down in there, I pull that trigger, I got this all nice and clean. Now, this isn't for you professionals that do this for a living. This instruction is for people that either have done some minor mechanic stuff and maybe they just don't know. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be oil on the bolts as part of the tightening sequence. But what you don't want is you want this hole full of oil. Now ask yourself that question, why? You're saying, Rich, what's the problem with that? Well, if the hole that you're already going to put oil into already has oil in it, because it's going to come off the threads, right? Makes sense? I'm not sure the exact terminology, but you will not get a correct torque sequence per that one hole. Also, I don't want to use air to blow all these out, because what if I have metal debris in that oil? It does, remember, it doesn't go into anything. Those are closed off holes. So there's nothing down there to lubricate these bolts. Once they go in, that's it. But what if perchance the person before you, the manufacturer, the whoever, happens to get some metal in it you cannot see? You go to blow that stuff out, it comes out and goes in your pan, or goes down top of your piston that is down here that you're not really paying attention to, because it's going to splatter everywhere. Plus, it's going to make a mess. And then you go to wipe it and it falls down inside. Well, it falls down there and gets in between your wall and the piston. So how about if we try to avoid that? How about if we just slow it down, take it down a notch. Now, other ways you can do this. They have a thing called a vacuum. It's kind of old school. Now that thing you can put on there and you can suck out those holes. Now that would be ideal. I would be all in for that. But what you want to do is you want to get as most of this oil out of here that you can. Because when we get to the torque sequence, I am literally in shock. I'm in shock. I'm still in shock. Maybe I've been out of the game too long. I don't know. That's almost got it right there. And, yeah, I just want to touch base on something like this. There we go. You don't want to, like I said, you don't want to have that oil down inside there. It's just going to cause a problem. You're going to tighten down on there, and you're thinking you're doing right, and all you're doing is building the pressure up from that hydraulic fluid inside there. So ask yourself, what would be some of the things that could happen from the torque sequence, and you've got fluid, too much fluid, down inside there. Well, I can tell you what I think might happen. Between you cranking down on that bolt, you could potentially crack the block, as crazy as that sounds. Now, it may not crack today, may not crack tomorrow after your torque sequence. It may not crack in 6 months. But sooner or later, the heat from the block heating up, it's going to stress that bolt. It's going to stress that hydraulic pressure. And I know this looks tedious, but I only want to do this job one time. Literally one time only. I'm not in the mood to keep taking a head off, keep working on stuff. To be honest, I'm not. Now, I would recommend chasing the bolts. That I highly recommend. Only because, again, when we get to the torque sequence, you'll understand why. So right now, I gotta go find my head bolts and my cleaner, and we'll be right back. Okay, so next step. Installing the head gasket, installing the head, installing the bolts, and going from there. So, here's what, for this particular motor, I know I probably sound a little bit long and drawn out, but I also like to explain why I do and why I don't. So here is a good idea. This is up on TDC right now, but if you look at the piston, it's got these humps that are sticking up. All four of them have them, and they're sticking up. So imagine this, you're trying to put the head on there. The head is nearly in perfect condition. It's been rebuilt. Why take a chance of you dropping the head by accident? Not that we're going to try to drop the head, don't get me wrong, but what if? You always have to know of what if. So, to do a little bit of preventive maintenance and not do any damage, this is what I recommend, is back this up. Oh, hold on, let me get this forward a little bit. I recommend backing it up just so that they're down. Okay? Just so that they're down and out of the way. Now, other motors, don't get me wrong, they're out of the way. This motor, I feel like they're in the way. And I don't want to take a chance of dropping the head on top of the piston, having this hump hit one of my brand new valves, which that'll be bad. So, just take your time, guys. This motor and this head, I don't know what the deal is with it, but it's to its own. I've read online where they talk about, oh, this, you can get this in some other vehicle, Xterra or whatever. But I've been finding literally, they're not the same. They're not the same, and I don't know why. Any of you out there can tell me what the difference is or why are they not the same? Hey, drop it down in the comments. You know, you're not helping me. You're going to be helping that guy that's going to be watching this video and probably asking the same questions. So, I heard one story, oh, you can put this head from another car. You can do this head from a Century or Sentra. You can do this and that. I'll tell you what, I have literally banged my head on the research for this motor. I got a headache from it. I'll be super honest with it. I got a headache from it. And I'm done. So I'm only doing anything and everything that's related to a Nissan 2.5 Frontier. I don't want to hear about, oh, you could have done this and done it and done that. Right now I bought everything for this motor. So that's what I recommend, because there's so many different variants, and I don't know why Nissan would do that. I don't know. So okay, here's what we got. I done cleaned all the holes out. You saw me do that. Cleaned all the holes out. I've got no debris anywhere. It all looks real nice and clean. Okay. Go ahead and put the head gasket on. That is going to be slightly uncomfortable. Now always check this head gasket. Make sure it's covering everything that it's supposed to cover. This all looks good there, looks good there. Looks good back there. Looks good here. Looks good there. And of course, try to keep it clean. I am really not liking this part here. This won't stay down. I'm really not liking it. But take your time. The head essentially is not very heavy. Just take your time. If it tries to move around on you, come back out. You don't have to force yourself and be in a dang rush. All right, here we go. See, it already freaking moved. Oh my gosh. See guys, that's what I mean. Just don't shove it down on there. You're going to tear up the head gasket. And you are not going to be happy. Okay, maybe I'll try to set the back one down first. Boy, it just does not want to stay. Wow. Okay. Attempt number 2. God dang. Holy schmanoles. Yeah, whatever. Okay, now, if you notice, I have the cams out. That's because the brilliant idea of putting the head bolts underneath the cams was a great idea. I mean, I guess. I mean, I really don't know why would you do that? But who am I? Okay, now we're going to install the head bolts. Now they recommend the head bolts to be oily. So I put some oil on there. I'm going to let it drip a little bit. This will be oily. Drop it down inside there. I'm going to get it started down inside that hole a little bit. Just because it's a good idea. You don't want all that oil to slip around to your head gasket. You want to try to get that oil in the threads down in there. Notice I'm not using no electric wrench, no electric air, anything. No. Just get it down in there so you're not filling up your head gasket full of oil. So you take it like this, let it drip. Don't wipe it off, you got to keep something on there. Then take it. But you know what? I got to tell you, you're not going to believe this. This is probably the most tedious motor I have ever worked on so far. And you're going to see a little bit here in this torque sequence what I'm talking about, how tedious. It's crazy. Now maybe I'm a little behind the times. Don't get me wrong. I am 65. I know I said that out loud. Again, we're not in a race. We're not in a rush. Take your time. Again, I know this seems tedious, but you don't want that oil to sneak in between the gaskets or that much of it. Yes, you could oil them all and drop them all in there and do them all at the same time. Absolutely. Won't even argue it. But as that bolt is sitting up on top like that, all that oil that's on the end of that is going to get down in between your gaskets and could affect your torque sequence. But it does say in the instructions to put oil on the bolts. So that's what I'm doing. Now, am I doing this correctly? I always feel like if you take your time, don't have to be in a rush. Not like this is customer pay. And even if it was customer pay, I would still take my time. Only because I hate comebacks. I literally hate comebacks to every fiber of my being. And anything that we can do to avoid that, I am in 100%. And really, at the same time, I'm doing exactly what the book says. I'm not trying to modify or change anything or whatever. Yeah, I'm about to put you in shock on this torque sequence. Crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Now, they also state that you use fresh oil. I'm just using some Castrol 1030. As fresh as we can get it, I guess. Brand new. Open up the bottle. And I'm just dipping it down inside the bottle. And if you didn't previous know, I did chase all the threads. It's good practice. It's a good idea. I highly recommend it. Because again, you don't want to, because of the craziness on this torque sequence, which I'm about to show you. It is crazy. Now, for you guys that have already been working on these for all these years, and you guys are pros and know it all and everything, and I'm happy for you. I really am. I'm producing these videos for the guy that, one, wants to accept the challenge of doing his own work, be proud of that work, be happy with that work, and I think I'm putting out at least some proper instruction to achieve a positive goal. And I see a piece of dirt in here right now. And that's why you gotta be looking. So what you can do is, when you see that little piece of dirt, you can take a little bit of this grease on your screwdriver. It'll come right out. Now, I don't know if that's dirt or, I don't know. I did blow this all out before bringing it over here. I don't know. It shouldn't be there. It ain't there now. Alright. We're going to go to the next thing, which is going to be the start of the torque sequence. I'm going to recommend a couple of things. Now, don't get me wrong. You guys that have been doing this for a minute, you do you. For the novice, you might want to do this. For you novice, you might want to do this. I highly recommend this. This is called there we go. This is called Duplicolor Hot Tires. It's like a paint for repairing your white walls on your tires. But in a minute here, you're going to see it makes a great marker and just doesn't go away easily. But here's the deal. Because we are not working from an engine stand, we're having to be stretched out a little bit. I'm going to show you a little tip that can get you out of trouble. Alright. So, going to the torque sequence, this is what they recommend. This is from an average of quite a few sites that I was at. They want you to torque this down to 75 foot-pounds. All of them. 75 foot-pounds. Okay? Then they want you to back it off to 0. In other words, just back them off. Then they want you to retorque to 29 foot-pounds. And here comes the crazy part. Then they want you to do 75 degrees, 75 to 80 degrees. Twice. I know, you're probably looking at me like, what in the world? For this old kid, for the stuff I have worked on over the years, I have never torqued down a bolt twice in a degree torque phase. I've done it like once, you know, do it 45 and then, you know, go on. But to do 75 to 80 degrees 2 times, I actually went and talked to a couple of other guys that I feel very trustworthy as far as mechanics goes. And they said these newer cars, that's actually perfectly acceptable. Now, if you do this, I highly recommend that you get brand new bolts. They do talk about in that paperwork there, you can reuse the bolts, but only if they measure within a certain amount of limitations. That being said, don't do that. You're better off to go with brand new head bolts and move on. That's what I recommend. Okay, so we're going to go through step 1, which is at 75. Oh, hold on. Step 1 is 75 foot-pounds. Okay, we're going to go at number. Okay, so now it's time to put the cams back in, all the holders. I'm also going to be putting a little bit of cam guard. It's a little thick. Okay, that's good. I am putting these back on the way they came off, which I highly recommend. That way, that's where they came off, and that is where they're going to go. A little extra lubrication sauce. Some of my old school stuff. Oh, as I'm looking at this is important. Let me take that back off. That's why it's important to go back the way they came. It's got a little oil port right there. Okay, so it's also very important to put these back where you took them off at. And here's why. Let me take this back off again. Come on. So, let's see if I can... Oop, right here. Alright, so it's got a little hole right here that is going to feed up through here. It's going to feed the lubricate of the cam itself. But if you go and put this on some other hole, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, not going to get lubricated. You're going to have a major problem. So always be sure, and there's even a hole right there. Some of the rest don't have holes, but this one does. So again, be aware of where they go. That way you can prevent future problems. And I just got the torque spec on all this stuff, so we will be torquing everything down accordingly. Also, the guys at the machine shop, awful nice of them, they went on ahead and numbered these for me. That way they're in the order, they're numbered correctly. This way, you know, it's going back together like it's supposed to. Now again, with the cam, for right now, before your torque sequence, just try to get all of these bolts down. Just kind of even things up. Now don't worry about, is it, you know, in time or, no, don't worry about that. Just get it where it settles in there, okay? And as you torque things down, then afterwards you can worry about putting some torque to it. And then you can, then afterwards you can worry about your time. Now this stuff here is some old GM stuff I used to use back in the day. That works really, really good. Old school stuff right here. This is camshaft, lifter, pre-lube. GM approved. I'm not sure if Nissan would really like the idea of me using a GM product, but you know what? Metal's metal. Nobody knows the difference. Okay. Again, remember, put this back on the way it came off. It's got the little groove right inside of here, and it does have the hole right there, which means that's going to go. See how it covered up that hole? That's what you got to look for. You just can't. You can't throw stuff in a box and then throw it back in here and go, hey, I think it's going to work great. No. Let's not do that. Yeah, let's not do that. So a little greasy, that's for sure. You know, the other thing too, you got to remember, if you don't put stuff back on here the way it came off, what do you think is going to happen? You know, you're going to burn up your motor over what? Because you didn't pay attention to which way something went on or off, or whatever the case may be. Willing to take that chance? Alright, let's clean this up a little bit. This here goes right behind the cam gears itself. Okay, so it goes this way. So it's going to go this way like this because that's where the part of the valve cover is going to go. Now, we don't put sealant. Don't put sealant all the way across this. Remember, oil actually goes through a lot of this stuff. Okay? So you just can't just go, oh, I got to put that on, and sealant goes everywhere. No, it does not go everywhere. Let me see if I can get it in the camera. It does not go everywhere. You can see this is wet, this is wet, and this is wet. Okay? Your sealant is actually going to go right here, a little bit right here, and then not in here, not in there. Oil comes up through there to feed your cams, or the front part of the cam. So you need to be on this side. This needs to be right in that groove right there. Needs to be in that groove right there. Not, you know what I mean? Not splashed all over the damn place. Inside that little groove, that way. This is all oil galley. Oil is going to go through there. Very important. Pay attention. Now what I like to do is, I got a little problem like this. You can either put the tube on here that you can cut real small and then you can squeeze it on there. Since it's a real small area, I'm just going to use this little screwdriver. It'll work the same. Okay? It's going to work here. Let me see if I can even, up here. Okay. So we're just going to put just a little bit in here like this. Remember, it's not going to go to the left right there. That's for your oil. That is literally the oil galley. Now a little bit can squish over into there, but you don't want to fill that hole in. That'll probably not be good. Okay? So again, this area here is for oil. This is for oil. That's what's feeding. Goes all the way across and feeds both of those cams. If you cover them up with silicone, you won't have to worry about ever working on this motor again. Just to let you know. You don't have to get crazy with the goober. Only just a little bit where it needs to be. Okay? You can go out toward the edge here. That's no big deal. Alright? Once again, where are we at? There we go. Don't need to be all filled up inside that hole. This is, I mean, really, this is probably a little too much. I may have to take some of this off. Okay? That's all that really needs to be on there. Believe it or not, Nissan has actually made some precision parts here. Meaning that the tolerances are real tight. Okay? Which meaning if you got a little bit of leeway, but at the same time you don't want to cover up all these oil galleys. And then, let's see, that's going to be, okay, so this part is the inside under here. So you don't have to go, don't do none of this. Don't do none of that. Because this is inside of the motor. Don't do none of this because this also gets wet with oil. You're only doing this and this edge. Because that's where the valve cover is going to come down and meet right in this corner. Okay? Again, you don't need a lot of goober. That is for sure. Make sure your areas are cleaned off. Looks really good. Okay. Looks really good. I like it. Go ahead and put your bolts in, but don't torque them down yet because you're gonna. What we're gonna do is we're going to. We're not gonna torque them down, but we're gonna make them all tight. Now, if you notice, going back together, I don't like to use electric. I don't like to use the air. I don't like to use the battery operated when we're going back together because here's why. Personal preference. If you're that good and you have the full confidence in yourself and your equipment, Hey, you do you. Okay? You do you. Not all of us are as good as you. So, for us novice guys, or people that want to learn this way, okay, by doing it by hand, number one, you get to feel when you're going to screw down, you get to feel everything. Also, you're not cross-threading anything because you're just, using a ratchet. You gotta take your time. You ain't gotta get crazy with this. That's why I don't use air, because that just tends to cause a problem in the long run. And there's also going to be a torque sequence to this as well. Of course, nothing like when we did the head. That still is boggling my mind. Okay. Do all these. Now you got to do both sides. The exhaust and the intake side. Like I said, I like to do it this way because then you can feel if you're cross-threading anything. Where these bolts are so small, you won't ever know if you're cross-threading anything. If you don't know you're cross-threading anything, you're going to have stripped out bolts. Guess what? You won't have to worry about working on the motor no more. Guess why? Because you're going to strip everything out. And these are not done by foot-pounds. These are done by inch-pounds. If you don't know what that is, you better look it up. Because if you go and put a foot-pound on here, and it's supposed to be an inch-pound, again, going back to, you won't have to worry about working on this motor. Also, you don't put no silicone anywhere on these here because this is all inside of the motor. So you don't put no silicone. You just put the oil or lubricant, pre-lube or whatever. Now remember, we still have our crank gear or pistons out of time. So, that being said, I can rotate these one at a time to be sure that they move on their own after I torque everything out. Right now I'm just doing a little snug, that's all. We're not torquing it, just a little snug, nice and even. Nice. Looks good. Alright, let's see what our torque spec is. Let me get my well, I'm going to have to put that on hold so I can find my wrench, torque wrench.